Hello everyone, today I would like to explain the basic agentic loop and two main risks you need to be aware of when you ask your agents to build something for you. It starts with the user, and user might be a human, developer, or it might be some external agent or application. Then we need to define task for our agent, so the thing that we want agent to develop for us. Finally, we start the agentic loop. And as you can imagine, the first stage of the loop is the agent itself. It needs to understand the task at hand, and it needs to plan how to deliver that task. In order to gather more data, it probably should read some local files. For instance, local source code of application we want this agent to extend or add new functionalities. But if that agent needs to gather more data, for instance from database or external sources, it needs to use some tools. For instance, to query that external database. And once it gathered all of the data, it analyzed the task, it analyzed input files and tools, it can generate output files or other artifacts in order to deliver what we asked for in the task itself. And often that is not a single pass. That is why it is called the agentic loop. So after the first iteration, it generated some output files, maybe agent edited some source code of our application, then it goes all the way to the start of the loop and analyze whether task that we provided is already delivered or not. Maybe this agent needs to read more input files, maybe it needs to invoke more tools in order to deliver what we asked for. It generates more output files and the loop continues. At some point, it's going to decide that it gathered all data and delivered all outputs. What are two main risks you need to be aware of when you work with this type of an agentic loop? First of all, tools. Because if our agent, we've got access to tools, for instance, it can interact with external database, you need to ensure that it won't modify the database in a way that you don't want to. Like the most critical output would be that agent decides to drop some table or alter data in that table. And we don't want that. It is super important to avoid it. The other risk that we need to be aware of is the quality of the delivered application itself. What if our agent implemented some backdoor in the application? And of course, it's not what we ask for. We ask for new functionality, but agent developed that functionality, plus it added some unwanted things like the exposed endpoints or APIs. So those are the two main risks you need to be aware of when you ask your agent to develop something for you. That it might invoke some unintended tools or allow tools but in the unintended way, and that the final quality of generated assets might not be what you expect. In my future videos, I will explain how you can handle both of those risks in order to mitigate them and in order to keep your agents very aware of files and tools, to keep them unrestricted in a way that they can deliver the task without bothering you, but at the same time to create a guardrails that will stop your agent from dropping your database, removing your private keys, or maybe to expose endpoints it should not expose and risking that your application is going to be hacked. That's all for now. I hope that was interesting for you. Please stay in touch and till next time.